How does a boy go from being a student who was scared of public speaking to becoming one of the most hated and powerful political figures in the world? Kim Jong Un, aka the supreme leader of North Korea, is the perfect example of what it means to be manipulated and controlled from birth. But there's more to Kim Jong Un than meets the eye. Alongside the purge of family members, the constant subjugation of his people, and the numerous assassination attempts on his life, there's also a frightened man desperate for help. But to truly understand the complex life of Kim Jong Un, we must travel back to the 1980s, where the story begins with a mystery: his birth. While North Korean authorities insist Kim Jong Un was born on January 8, 1982, a symbolic year marking the 70th birthday of his grandfather Kim Il-sung, and 40 years after the birth of his father Kim Jong-il, South Korean intelligence poses a different theory. They believe he was born a year later, and so, even before he could speak his first words, the young Kim found himself a subject of symbolic manipulation, effectively drafted into the long-running theater of North Korean politics. Born to Ko Young-hui and Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un was the middle child in a family deeply entwined with North Korea's ruling elite. He had an older brother, Kim Jong-chul, and a younger sister, Kim Yo-jong. His grandfather, Kim Il-sung, was the founder of North Korea, making Kim Jong-un the first leader of the country to have been born as a North Korean citizen, a stark contrast to his father and grandfather, who were born in the Soviet Union and during the Japanese colonial period. While the people of North Korea struggled with poverty, the Kim family led an entirely different lifestyle. Reports indicate that Kim Jong-un, along with his siblings, spent several years in Switzerland, first attending the International School of Bern under the pseudonym Chol Pak or Pak Chol. Kim was described as a shy but decent student. He was frequently shadowed by an older student, likely his bodyguard, as he navigated the hallways of a school so different from any institution in his homeland. Later, his educational journey took him to the Lieberfeld-Steinholzli State School of Konitz, near Bern. Under the name Pak Un or Un Pak, he attended regular classes after a brief stint in a special class for foreign language children. João Makailo, a Portuguese immigrant who attended the same school, remembers Kim Jong-un as a quiet boy with a pudding bowl haircut and a very pronounced double chin, who went by the name Un. His life in Switzerland was far from ordinary. Under the mentorship of North Korea's ambassador to Switzerland, Ri Cole, he lived an incognito lifestyle as a would-be supreme leader, masked as the son of a fairly normal embassy employee. And although he was a well-trained integrated student, his academics reportedly suffered, perhaps overshadowed by the heavy mantle of destiny that he wore from a young age. Despite his shy nature, Kim Jong-un couldn't entirely keep his background secret. João Miguel also recalls Kim admitting that he was the son of North Korea's leader. At first, he didn't believe him, as kids like that wouldn't go to that kind of school. Kim also shared his fascination for basketball, computer games, and Jackie Chan movies with Zhao. Oddly ordinary interest for someone destined to lead one of the world's most mysterious and reclusive countries. Analysts who confirmed his identity found that the young man even possessed photographs with NBA icons like Kobe Bryant and Tony Kukoc, with more recent pictures revealing his relationship with Dennis Rodman. Years later, a photo of young Kim Jong-un attending school in Switzerland would be analyzed and compared to a current image, confirming with 95% accuracy that they were the same person. Most experts agree that upon leaving Switzerland, Kim Jong-un attended Kim Il-sung University in Pyongyang, acquiring degrees in physics and as an army officer. This period marked the end of his normal life and the beginning of his carefully managed rise to power. Then suddenly, the world was introduced to an adult Kim Jong-un, seated 2 places away from his father in an official photograph in 2010. It was as if his childhood had been erased, replaced instantly by the weight of his predestined role. And so, as Kim Jong-un was unveiled to his people and the world, his complicated childhood gave way to an even more complicated adulthood, marking the first act in his life filled with purges, subjugation, and assassination attempts. Kim Jong-nam, the eldest brother of Kim Jong-un, was initially recognized as the likely successor. However, his chances of succession were cut short when he was caught attempting to sneak into Japan with a counterfeit passport. Why, you might ask? Well, Kim Jong-nam was Well, reports indicate that he was trying to visit Tokyo Disneyland. However, there were also many reports indicating that he would often sneak into China as well as South Korea to attend concerts and party with his friends and girls. But as Kim Jong-nam's star dimmed, another emerged from the shadows. Kim Jong Un was frequently mentioned in whispers and careful conversations among those in the know. Kenji Fujimoto, who was Kim Jong-il's personal chef, recounted personal interactions with a young Kim Jong-un. Fujimoto said that the young Kim Jong-un was a spitting image of his father in character, a mirror that was not held up to his elder full brother, Kim Jong-chul, who was deemed too feminine for leadership. Alongside discussing his relationship with his father, Fujimoto also talked about Kim Jong-un's lavish lifestyle, filled with luxury cars, branded cigarettes, and premium whiskey. Yet, amid the extravagance, there was a glimmer of self-awareness. Fujimoto recalled a young Kim Jong-un introspectively considering the vast gap between his life and the suffering of ordinary North Koreans. In January 2009, Yonhap, the South Korean news agency, added fuel to the succession speculation by reporting that Kim Jong-il had quietly chosen Kim Jong-un as his successor. While the global media scrambled to verify this claim, subtle shifts within North Korea provided clues. The young Kim's name was included in the ballots for the 2009 elections to the Supreme People's Assembly. Although it eventually did not appear in the final list of lawmakers, Kim Jong-un's meteoric ascent in North Korean politics was real. He soon secured a mid-level position within the powerful National Defense Commission. In 2009, diplomatic circles were buzzing with the near certainty that Kim was being groomed for the next head of the Korean Workers' Party and, by extension, North Korea. An illustrative moniker, Yongmyeonhan Toji, or Brilliant Comrade, began to be associated with him. Around the same period, citizens were said to be serenading him with praise songs reminiscent of the musical tributes dedicated to the senior Kims. Some international analysts hypothesize that Kim Jong-un's fingerprints were on a few aggressive military actions, such as the Cheonan sinking and the bombardment of Yeonpyeong. They speculate these might have been strategic moves to bolster his military credentials. Then, in September 2010, a major announcement signaled the young Kim's official entry into the political and military upper echelons. He was designated a Daijang, a rank parallel to a 4-star general, a surprising move given his lack of military experience. Not only was he elevated in the military, but Kim Jong-un was also named vice chairman of the Central Military Commission and appointed to the Central Committee of the Workers' Party. These appointments set his path to leadership almost inevitable. However, in October 2010, during the 65th anniversary celebration of the Workers' Party, Kim Jong-un's public appearance alongside his father was perceived as an undeniable endorsement of his impending leadership. Suddenly, the world was introduced to an adult Kim Jong-un seated 2 places away from his father in an official photograph in 2010. It was as if his childhood had been erased, replaced instantly by the weight of his coming role. The world's media, given rare access to this event, zoomed in on the young heir, indicating his crucial role in North Korea's future. His path to leadership was now completely inevitable, and Kim was about to go through the biggest change of his life. The demise of Kim's father, Kim Jong-il, on the 17th of December 2011 ushered in an era of uncertainty. While his father had crafted a succession plan, the immediate aftermath of his death was riddled with speculation and trepidation. Would young Kim Jong-un truly inherit the reins? The presence of experienced political figures like Jang Song-taek led some analysts to theorize that Jong-un might only be a figurehead, with real power resting elsewhere due to his inexperience. Furthermore, as 2011 dawned, whispers of political purges began to emerge. Protégés of influential figures like Jang Song-taek, Jong-un's uncle-in-law, and Oh Kuk-reol, the vice chairman of the National Defense Commission, found themselves tangled up in an ever-growing net of detentions and allegations that would. These moves were likely strategic, designed to ensure that Kim Jong-un's path to the top remained unobstructed by political rivals. Yet North Korea's state-driven narrative quickly started to unfold. Immediately following Kim Jong-il's passing, Kim Jong-un was christened with lofty titles, the great successor to the revolutionary cause of Juche, the outstanding leader of the party, army, and people. and a respected comrade akin to the late Supreme Commander Kim Jong Il. Spearheading his father's funeral committee further established his central role in the regime's transition. The Korean Central News Agency, also known as KCNA, an instrument of state propaganda, went so far as to declare him a great person born of heaven, an honor previously reserved only for his father and grandfather. The intensity of devotion was palpable when the ruling Workers' Party of Korea made a tearful vow, pledging allegiance to Kim Jong Un as their supreme commander and leader. The official transition of military power took place on the 24th of December 2011, when Kim Jong Un was declared the supreme commander of the Korean People's Army. This was formally announced 6 days later, solidifying his role as North Korea's military leader. Rodong Sinmun, North Korea's leading newspaper, confirmed the murmurs on the 26th of December 2011, acknowledging Kim Jong Un's dual roles as chairman of the Central Military Commission and the supreme leader of North Korea. A series of elections and appointments in early 2012 further solidified Kim Jong Un's political power. The Workers' Party of Korea, during its fourth conference, designated Kim Jong Il as the Eternal General Secretary. In this reshuffling, Kim Jong Un emerged as the first secretary, a newly minted role. He also inherited his father's influential positions, including the chairman of the Central Military Commission and a coveted seat on the Politburo Presidium. Mid-2012 witnessed Kim Jong Un's military stature elevate even further. He was promoted to Wonsu, the highest active military rank. This promotion not only signaled Kim's unchallenged dominance over the military, but also came in the wake of significant personnel change, such as the replacement of Chief of General Staff Ri Yong-ho by Hyun Yong-chol. And this North Korean propaganda was fierce, so much so that on the hillside, as if watching over the nation, satellite imagery revealed a message proclaiming, "Long live General Kim Jong Un, the shining sun." From the uncertainty that loomed post-Kim Jong-il's death, Kim Jong-un's ascendance was rapid and calculated. By 2013, he was firmly established as North Korea's supreme leader, wielding unmatched political and military power. And he was about to use that power for one of the most ruthless moves yet. In 2013, North Korea witnessed one of the most shocking political moves. Kim Jong-un's uncle, Jang Song-taek, who was once considered the second most powerful man in the country, found himself at the center of this situation. Jang wasn't just family. He held a series of high-profile positions and was seen as a guiding hand during the country's transition after Kim Jong-il's death. But all that changed rapidly towards the end of 2013. During a party meeting, Jang was suddenly arrested. The event was publicized with pictures showing him being dragged away by guards. It was a move designed to show the nation and the world who was in charge. Soon after his arrest, the state media was abuzz with accusations against him. They said Jang had betrayed his country. They called him corrupt and claimed he was plotting against the state. Within days, he was put on trial and then executed by suspected gunfire. But the shockwaves of Jang's fall from grace didn't stop there. After his death, many of those close to him, including his own family members and friends, faced arrest. Some of them were also executed. Kim Jong-un was sending a clear message. Any challenge or threat to his leadership would be dealt with harshly. Jang's removal had ripple effects across North Korea and beyond its borders. At home, it cemented Kim's position as the unchallenged leader. The elites and power players of North Korea now knew that crossing him, or even being perceived as a threat, had dire consequences. For other countries, especially those with diplomatic ties like China, the move was unsettling. Jang had been seen as someone they could work with, a potential bridge between North Korea and the rest of the world. The 2013 purge was a turning point. It showed the lengths Kim Jong-un would go to secure his rule. It was a bold, ruthless move, signaling a new era for North Korea and for Kim, as a man against the world. Still riding the aftershocks of 2013's seismic political purge, 2014 saw North Korea fall further under Kim's rule. With the execution of his uncle, Jang Song-taek, Kim sent a clear message. Family ties were no shield against treachery. These were more than mere power moves. They were foundational efforts to craft an uncontested leadership profile where betrayal was synonymous with death. However, it appeared that Kim wasn't done with the purging of family members. Halfway across the world, in the bustling airport of Kuala Lumpur, jong-nam, Kim Jong Un's estranged half-brother, was assassinated. The world watched in horror as CCTV footage showed two women smearing a deadly nerve agent on his face. While North Korea vehemently denied any involvement, many believe this is another chilling example of Kim Jong Un removing any potential threats to his leadership. But the dangerous battle for power wasn't one-sided. Later that year, rumors emerged of an assassination attempt against Kim. Though details were scarce and shrouded in secrecy, North Korea pointed fingers at foreign agencies, particularly the CIA and South Korea's intelligence service. According to Pyongyang, these agencies had plotted to use a biochemical weapon to eliminate the young leader. This alleged attempt on Kim's life heightened tensions in the region and fueled North Korea's narrative of being under constant threat from external forces, emphasizing the need for a strong and vigilant leadership to guard against these dangers. Further reports indicate that Kim has survived a total of 12 assassination attempts. But it wasn't all shadows and suspicions. Between the dark chapters, there were moments of unexpected diplomacy with the United States under the leadership of the flamboyant Donald Trump. The relationship between the two leaders was a roller coaster of emotions. They went from trading insults and nicknames like Rocket Man for Kim and Dotard for Trump on Twitter to shaking hands in meetings. The world watched, alternating between hope and skepticism, as Trump and Kim first met in Singapore in 2018, in Hanoi in 2019, and then again at the North Korean DMZ in 2019. These summits, filled with grand gestures and photos, marked the first ever meetings between sitting leaders of the US and North Korea. Though concrete results were debated, the sheer spectacle of these meetings hinted at the possibility of a changing relationship between the two nations. However, despite the political showboating and economic reform, Kim Jong Un's commitment to North Korea's nuclear program became unmistakably clear. Continuing the legacy of his father and grandfather, he saw nuclear weapons as the ultimate safeguard for his nation's sovereignty against foreign intervention. While his predecessors laid the groundwork, it was under Kim's watch that the program rapidly matured. Throughout his leadership, Kim has greenlit a series of missile tests, each more ambitious than the last. From short-range missiles that could threaten neighboring countries like Japan in 2014 to intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching distant shores in 2017. These tests signified North Korea's ever-growing military capabilities. But it wasn't just about defense. For Kim, showing these capabilities also solidified his domestic image as a strong leader, able to stand up against global superpowers. Furthermore, it bolstered his bargaining position on the international stage, making other countries think twice before challenging him. However, his nuclear ambitions came at a cost. The international community responded with a series of sanctions, pushing North Korea further into isolation. With 2024 just on the horizon, Kim Jong Un's North Korea is a cornered dog, growling with nuclear might. The world's continuous shoving, through sanctions and isolation, has pushed it further into the shadows. Yet every growl, every show of teeth is a plea for survival, not just dominance. While we point fingers at North Korea's actions, we must ask, are we backing them too far into the alley that their only choice is to leap out with all their might? It's a dance of survival, and like any good tale, there's more than one side to the story. To ensure peace, we might need to take a step back, extend a hand, and show that there's a way out of the alley, a path that doesn't end in a bite. What do you think? We are Wealthy Legends. Subscribe for more.